Hello, welcome one and all to your
What is
favorite
going on?
Friday show. Let's talk real estate here with Papa P, Carlos, and myself. If you're not following us on YouTube, what have you been doing all this time? I mean, this is episode 40 and you still haven't followed. I mean, come on, hit that follow, and you can get these awesome conversations on Friday. But let's dig into it. We got some fun stuff today. Like I feel like it's going to be a kind of an extended pulse of the week with a little bit of education in it. So much is going on right now. The year's wrapping up. The Fed had their meeting a couple days ago, so we could talk about all this stuff and how it relates. But I would love to start with less about mortgages and feds and more just about the market and movement in our people still selling and buying. Because I'm sure like lots of people have questions about that. Some people think I'm in my own little silo and it's like, is everybody else experiencing what I'm experiencing? What are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
Bruh. People are still buying and selling. I was talking with a buddy of mine today when I was out. Follow me on Instagram at Mr. Realovative. I was selling one of my rentals, which we could dive into later. But we were actually talking about it, and it's not. He was around. I came in at the recession. He's old as shit, so he's been around for multiple ups and downs. And he was like, it's nothing like that. And we were talking afterwards. We get on the phone after I show him the house, and we always chit chat on the drive. And he was saying he regretted not buying more houses during the last one. We were talking about mobiles, like buying more mobiles. And I was like, well, that's why you're buying this one, because it's the same thing. Like you would regret not buying it. And that's the thing, is as investors, we always regret what we don't buy. If you regret what you're buying, your buy box is probably whacked out. But I know very few people who have as numerous regrets of what they bought. It's usually what they didn't buy or what they sold or what they didn't hold on to. So yeah, I mean, we're still moving properties. Like I still got people calling. Like my core buyers still are asking me to sell them deals. They want more deals.
Are they
But
loving that because it's cash though, and they have cash and they're not having to mess with the rates and stuff, and they're finding out the prices are lower, and they're like, I just want to buy them at lower.
it doesn't matter though, man. Like, so yes, cash. My one of my buyers is cash, but he is so big. It's cash, but it's an equity line. So like he just has a line of credit from the bank that he pulls from. They keep cash reserves. So like if he has to, if it doesn't meet their criteria for their organization, he'll pay cash for it, because that way they don't have to deal with the equity line and the percentages with that. But I was talking with someone last night. They were saying like 80% of their deals are hard money, and I would say still the same thing. Rates don't matter as much for hard money, I would argue, because we're flipping in a quicker time frame. So back in the day when I was flipping during the last recession, you didn't hold on to deals for 3, 4, 5 months. You were looking to be in and out of a deal in 30 days. And we were just trying to get in and out. We also didn't have the flip rule that we had back then, the FHA quick flip regulation that we had. So, and I don't know if they're going to remove that again. So I don't know. But I would say people are still buying. But what I was getting at and what the whole episode is about, and we could dive into it, I feel John asked me this question a little sooner, is they want them at different prices.
Yes.
They're more conservative, which is okay, because I think we should have been at these numbers all the fucking time. Greedy.
Cooling of the market. Yeah.
I very much hear similar sentiment with experienced people that I know, like, and trust that are investing. Same thing. This is a needed adjustment. Should have happened a while ago.
Yeah.
Play accordingly. What's kind of sticking out to me is over your left or right shoulder there, Papa P. It looks like you have a different game plan than kind of some strategy for REI Op Center. Do you care to share what that says there for our viewers that are maybe watching?
Listen, man.
And does it have anything to do with this week's topic, or am I just throwing you for a bone here?
Listen. We're going to touch on it. I feel like multiple things. One, it says realtors are lazy and can't comp and don't know how to read instructions. I'm not going to spend time on this episode. I think we need to have a further episode about realtors. I escaped the realtor matrix. I love being a realtor. It was fun. I was a top producer in my brokerages, started my own brokerage. And then it wasn't it for me as scalable as what I was trying to do for the freedom. But I got into an argument. I was at Go Ria last night. Phenomenal event. Loved it. Alex Casada, his brother Anthony, Robert Vasquez,
Nice.
they did a great job. Cap Source, everybody. But somebody was asking how to talk to realtors, about how to present seller finance, like creative deals, and how to like buy them from realtors. And the general consensus was it's difficult. And I made a comment that it is difficult because realtors are lazy. And just so happened, I happened to be sitting next to probably the laziest motherfucker of all times. This bitch was like, "Oh man, it's so offensive. I can't believe you would say that." I'm like, "It's true."
Yeah.
I'm a realtor. No, I'm not lazy. I said, "Okay, well, maybe you're one of the few, but it's a fact." And she's like, "No, it's not. That is just an offensive statement you would say." And listen, I have statistical facts to prove I am right. I tried explaining it to her. I was like, I've been in real estate for 13 years. I've run a brokerage. I've trained agents. It is a fact that realtors are lazy, almost as much of a fact as kids are assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Any parent that says kids are not assholes, I can guarantee you they are a parent of an asshole. And it's the same thing. Any realtor.
Denial.
It's
Living
a
in
denial thing. Any realtor that if I go up to you, I'm like, man, fucking realtors are fucking lazy. If they don't go, yeah, dude. If they get offended, you're like, you're obviously you're a little insecure because you're probably
you know where you fall on the spectrum and you don't want to admit it.
Yeah, you're a little fucking lazy, right? It's like if people came up to me and were like, man, wholesalers are shady. I'd be like, fuck yeah, they are. I'm not going to take offense to it. It's when I get on the phone and somebody goes, oh, man, I've been getting calls from lots of scammers. Are you a scammer? I'm not going to get offended. I'm going to be like, there are a lot of scammers out there, man. A lot of shady individuals. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank God I called you. But yeah, I feel like we should maybe have a whole episode about realtors. I've just been researching a lot of stuff about realtors in the last like 12 hours since that event because I got that heated that she would argue with me about realtors being lazy that I needed to beef up my statistical facts.
Is she just a realtor or is she an investor as well?
I don't fucking know. I can't talk to people like that. I can't even you can't have an intelligent conversation with people like that.
I was just talking to my wife about this last night. People get emotional. It's like, I don't want to talk with anybody that's getting emotional.
It's like when I'm speaking facts, maybe you're one of the few. We all know it's the 80-20 rule. Like in real estate, it's not. It's really the 90-10 rule for real estate agents. And it's like 1% of realtors are like the killers of the entire organization. And then there's like another 9% that make above the median income. Everybody else. So like if you can argue with that, I feel like an intelligent person should be able to argue it both ways. Emotional, man. It's emotional argument. But
those are humans.
But I think we're gonna have a lot of fallout too, and I think a lot of it comes down to valuation and stuff. And I think these realtors have problem valuing properties. They don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to win business, and two, they can't read instructions. I mean,
I can't wait to hear about how the realtors fit into this. That's not what I was predicting when we came up with this topic. So it's gonna be intriguing.
But yeah,
I love realtors.
But yeah, Carlos,
what was that? What was that event?
What
was that event? I was going to ask because we both like Alex Casada. I don't know him personally, but he just seems like a cool dude. Love to have him on Let's Talk Real Estate. But what was that event? Jam on that for a sec.
So I have made a pact of myself. I was looking something up for you real quick to get you some actual facts. So it's the 3rd of every month, right? This was the 4th Thursday of every month or whatever. What was yesterday? They held it early because, it's the 4th Thursday of every month. They held it early because of Christmas. But anyway, it's Go Ria. Lawrence Malloy, I'd met him back in the day at Raphael's Mastermind. Liked him. We get along. He does a lot of business out of Tampa. He owns the Ria out in Orlando. And he brings in guests. So they had Robert Vasquez. He's a huge investor, business owner of multiple sorts, big into mortgage notes. Then you got Alex Casada and his brother. I JV with them. I've known them. I met a lot of people back in the day before everyone else became a wholesaler back at like the original masterminds. So I met them back in the day, and they were up on a panel, and I made a thing because of REI Ops Center and just like my personal goals of what I want to do in 2020 that I'm going to get out of my office. So I saw that they posted that they're doing a panel with those people. And I was like, you know what, man? I just hopped on I-4 and I headed out to it, got myself out of my cubicle because I am literally in a cubicle. And I went out there and
down the street from me, right? You were
it was I wasn't. I should have
Literally
stopped by
like
and
10
said hi.
minutes away.
Yeah,
I know. I was at my
down in
kid's
Altamont
dance
Springs.
recital. I was like, damn it. Papa P's like 10 minutes from me right now.
Yeah, bro. I was down there. I would never. I don't know how you live there. I hate life. I want to move to Wyoming. The traffic there is insane.
Oh, that's ridiculous, dude. You hit the worst time to dial through. Did you go on the express lane? I hope you went on the express lane.
I didn't even know what an express lane was. No shit. I was leaving, and I got on this highway on I-4, and nobody was on it. And I'm driving on it, and I'm like, where is everybody? Why is nobody on the highway? I'm like, am I on a section of the highway I'm not supposed to be on? Is it like road work? I'm like, why is everybody over in these other lanes? Do they not know about these lanes?
It's crazy that people are driving on the express lane. I don't get it. I don't do it. Like, we don't go on I-4 very much, but when we do, it's like, express lane.
I didn't try to get on it. I must have accidentally been driving on it. I thought I was going to get pulled over for being on a road that I wasn't supposed to be on. And then I saw a sign that said express lane, and I remember them from D.C. because that's the only time the HOV lanes and stuff up in D.C. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is good. I was flying. I hope no cops are listening, but I was flying at like 80 some miles an hour. I made it.
Oh, they watch you on that. I don't go any higher than 65.
Oh, really?
Because they get you on the express lane in Orlando.
Well, they didn't catch Papa P last night. I made it home from the I-store back in like a freaking hour, dude. I was like,
nice. That's
with
awesome.
your luck, you get pulled over by a cop that's like a part-time realtor, and they see that you say.
No, but I had played it out in my head of what I would tell the cop, and I would have explained to him that I'm from Polk County and I'd never heard of an expressway, and I haven't been on a highway, bro. Other than going to the airport to go to Arkansas, the last time I was on a highway was like in summertime when I took a family road trip. Yeah, it's Polk County, baby. We have backcountry roads. I don't do highways. Mm-hmm. Got my camo hat. We wear camo hats and we hang out in the woods over here in the swamps. That's what we do.
Love that. I'm on the highway. I mean, most of the time if I'm in my neighborhood, I'm walking. But if I go anywhere outside of my neighborhood, I usually hop on the highway. I just hopped on the highway this morning. I don't know if John told you, but my friend where I'm staying out in Baltimore for a state trooper's wedding, actually, my college roommate. I'll share your sentiment with him, but he gave me the wrong key. I was literally locked outside for 2 hours this morning after an hour on the highway up there.
Bro. And listen, man, speaking of Baltimore, to bring it back to real estate, because I do want to dive into the topic, but to bring it back, and I wanted to bring this up to you. I meant to send you this. There's a guy who's a young investor, and his last name is George DeLille George, and I don't really know him that well. I follow some people on Instagram, and he died getting
the Baltimore
shot.
Guy, the 24-year-old?
Crazy. In his investment property, got shot. Yeah. And by the time the EMTs and everyone got there, he was pronounced dead. It just reminded everyone. I mean, I'm a huge gun fanatic. Right hand up. You know what I'm saying? Gotta love my guns. But it really reminds you to be safe out there if you don't have a concealed carry permit, if you're not allowed to carry, if you don't have any type of weapons. I bring my dog everywhere I go. That's one of the reasons why I got her. Coastline Canine, shout out to them. If anyone's looking for a protection dog, you go to them. You need some type of protection out there. When I read that, I don't know the guy, and I just shook my head out of like, what do you call it, like industry respect for like that could have been anybody.
Yeah, and I don't know him personally, but I have just like kind of heard of him because that's where I'm from in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's why I know you.
I know a ton of people that like I'm kind of like 1 degree of separation from that guy. Not that he would know me or anything, but I just know a lot of people that know him, like an up and coming rental guy. I'm going in and out.
No, I said, well, he doesn't. He doesn't know anybody now. But
but to know Baltimore, it's hard. I wanted to get a concealed carry in Baltimore, but it's
probably hard.
Nearly impossible. Oh no, the gun laws.
Baltimore is. If anybody doesn't know how dangerous Baltimore is, I'm gonna refer you back to The Wire. Go watch those seasons and learn about that. But it is. I mean, the DC area. The person I was with at the time, she worked at Johns Hopkins. And so we would go, I would have to go into Baltimore all the time. And from D.C., it's not that far. I mean, people travel all over up there. It's so dangerous. I mean, it's wild. On one side of the street, you have these high-end homes, and then you go to the other side of that same block, and they're all like trap houses and broken down row houses.
Extremely block by block.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have that down here, and I know there's a lot of investors who deal in these type of what we call as realtors or real estate investors war zones, right? We make a, you know, you got to be careful, man. I can't count how many times, as a tip, even as a young realtor, because I was doing foreclosures, you just announce yourself. I mean, whenever I go into a vacant house that's not like padlocked, like with my lockbox on it, I mean, I'm always, hey, I'm a realtor, I'm an investor, it's my house, I'm just coming in to take photos. If there's anybody in here, don't be alarmed. I'm not the popo. You know what I mean? Like, it's a joke, but you have to make those announcements. I went in Orlando. I was doing foreclosures. I had squatters in there, and I had a gigantic, like, cane corso try to attack me before the guy got him under. I was ready to, like, fight this dog because it came charging at me. What else am I going to do? If I ran, it would run me down. And he gave it a command, and it, like, stopped dead in its tracks. And then I had to have a combo, and I had to get the cops out there. But you never know what you're going to run into. Guns pulled on me. I've had all kinds of shit happen.
You had guns pulled on you?
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
When?
It's wild.
Tell us. Give a quick
younger,
story on that.
It was in Philadelphia. It's a different type of story. But, yeah, when you go into Trap House, I did some deals up in Philly. I was with a brokerage back in the day. It's a long story. I've been doing this 13 years. I have many different seasons of who I am as a realtor. But, yeah, I was doing deals up in Philly, man, back in the day.
I was working with a guy. I don't know if this story's public, so I won't say his name. Big real estate guy. He'd moved into like cash flowing properties and selling them, and he worked in the Memphis market. And he had his property manager out there got shot and killed in one of his properties, and he couldn't and he was carrying a weapon, like he was carrying, and he couldn't collect the rents, and all of his properties that he sold was insured like to the buyers, so he lost like a shit ton of money, almost to the point of bankruptcy, because he had to cover the rents because he didn't have a property manager that was willing to go and collect rents in like bad neighborhood.
This whole episode's taken a turn, but yeah, I know guys who won't. So I'm okay investing in those areas. Like everyone needs a house to live. I don't really care, but you have to be extra cautious, man. But I also come from a different breed of investor. That's the demographic I was introduced to, because I started out my first year in real estate was in foreclosures. You have to go into those properties if you want to work for the banks. If you want to be what we call an REO agent, right? You don't call them up and say, that's a little too dangerous for me. I'm not going to go get your photos of this foreclosure trap house. They're going to say, okay, cool. And they'll call the other guy who's willing to go. Mold houses, dilapidated houses. There was a point where I was straddling floor joists because there was no floors, because you have to get photos of every room. And it's not that you have to. They'll tell you, hey, if it's unsafe, you don't have to. But it's an understood thing that if you don't get what the asset manager needs, that asset manager will not assign you deals. They will let you keep this one. They're not just going to openly say it, but all of a sudden your queue inside your platform starts getting less and less. So you got to do it, man. So yeah, it's just. But as a tip, like I started, one of the things I was looking into is like they now sell bulletproof wardrobe, like hoodies that are bulletproof and stuff. Wow. Different things.
It's like John Wick 3. He has a suit that's like bulletproof.
Yeah, they actually make that shit. And it became really popular during the school shootings because parents were buying. That's how I found it, because I was looking for like some armor for my daughter's book bag, and I was trying to figure out what they sold, and they sell all that stuff. But maybe that's something realtors do: protection dogs, weapons. You got to protect yourself, man, if you're dealing in those areas. But always 100%. Announce yourself. Always announce yourself. It's just you sound like an idiot when you do it, but you know what, man? It's better to sound like an idiot.
Might save your life one day.
Might save your life. Yeah. Because they're not doing it because they know you're a real estate person, right? A lot of these people don't know who you are when you're coming in on them. They have no idea who's coming to this house, because guess what? You probably haven't been there in a month, 6 months. How long? Who knows?
Yeah. No, and thinking of like the Wire in Baltimore, like luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had that I'm remembering any bad like seller appointments. I definitely have been into like some rough properties. But speaking of the Wire, I remember I went to go see a house one time on North Payson Street in Baltimore, and literally in the Wire, they say a line. One of the main guys, Marlo, like one of the main traffickers, he's talking about like a corner that they sell like heroin or drugs on. and they're like fighting over a corner. He's like, what do I want with some ragtag shit on Payson Street? So it's literally one of the properties I went to on North Payson Street. These like heroin dealers, like they didn't even want to have. It was so rough, like, it was so undesirable, like they didn't even want it. And I was like looking at a house there that I think the guy was trying to sell for like like $1,000, like a fire damaged like piece of crap house in like the West Baltimore, like really really rough area. So yeah, definitely be safe. Rest in peace to that dude. I see a ton of Baltimore friends of mine posting about him. Super super sad.
It is. It shouldn't happen like that, man. Just trying to get out there and get some money. But you just got to protect ourselves. But yeah, and that's why I like my mobile homes and stuff. Just a different class of people.
Yeah. All right, let's bring it back. We kind of diverged off topic there. But all right, so the market, buyers, and then moving into, and what we're trying to get into here is talking about evaluations, because Brandon and I got off on this conversation on Tuesday, and it was kind of like an accidental conversation, but it's like what we should really talk about this, because you were talking about a seller that you were having a conversation with, and she was talking to other realtor or other wholesalers, I think it was, and break down that convo and like what made you really think about like this topic.
So she was actually, it was one of these convos where I was just chit chatting with her, and sometimes you turn off the investor hat and turn on the advisor hat, is what a lot of people say, or I say, is like you're turning on from I'm trying to buy your house to, hey, I realize I can't buy this, but like I'm here to help, and fuck it, man, like let me just give you some advice. And we were talking about price, and I forget the exact numbers at this point, but she was asking me pointed questions because I used the line on her about, well, I can't pay that because interest rates have gone up. Your house isn't worth as much. And she was telling me how she had just had it valued by a realtor, and not just, but like, what was it, like a month or two ago, and her neighbor's home sold the other month at this price. And so I explained to her the way I was trying to do it, and I'll see if I can say this properly, is sellers are always looking at how much their house is worth based on past numbers. Realtors are pulling comps based on past numbers, right? So anybody valuing their property or someone valuing it for them or valuing it in the past, what investors do is we have to value into the future. We're giving you a price today to buy it 30 days in the future, to rehab it another 30 to 60 days in the future. And if you want a postdoc or to stay longer, it could be another 30. So it could be up to 120 days. So the way I explained it to this lady, I was like, ma'am, you're looking at prices of what your house was worth. Your house will never be worth as much as it is today. And I said, even worse, your house will never be worth as much as it was yesterday. In this market, I told her, I said, we need to account for what it may be worth in the future. And she goes, well, how much are you willing to pay on that? She asked me a question most don't. What do you normally pay on the dollar? So I said, well, ma'am, honestly, we like to be somewhere around the 65, 70% of the dollar. She goes, oh, wow. And then she said, well, what would you have paid in the beginning of the year? Very intelligent questions, the way she was asking them. And I was like, well, in the beginning of the year, I might have paid you up to 80 cents on the dollar, maybe even a little more. She goes, well, why the difference? And so I explained it to her. I said, well, ma'am, here's the thing. I said, back then, I could pay you 80 cents on the dollar, but it was still me buying it at 70 cents on the dollar. She goes, well, that doesn't make sense. And I said, well, in an incline market, as the market goes up, like I said, I'm valuing into the future and you're valuing in the past. So since I'm valuing in the future, in order to make my offer seem more appealing, I steal my future equity and I tack that on. So if I know I'm going to get an appreciation of 10% over the next 3 months, which was, we all know was happening.
Yeah,
I would go and grab that 10 to even 15%, and now I can offer you 80 cents or 85 cents on the dollar. But in my mind, the way my numbers work is technically, mathematically, I'm still buying it at 70 cents on the dollar. You didn't realize that, but I was able to give you an enticing price because I would steal my future equity. But what's happening now is I said that equity's not there and it's actually declining. So now I'm actually at a position where if I don't value it at 65, 70 cents on the dollar exactly and it declines, I could wind up paying 80 cents on the dollar because I'm losing that 10% because of future equity loss or future price decline. And we got on bank rate and we started doing I was trying to explain to her how her home based on rates being at 6.5%, 7% versus 3%. And we
Mhm.
went through it, and I was trying to educate her on how her house is worth less, and she's not even ready to sell. And I said, ma'am, I said, if rates continue to go up, your house is worth whatever, $300K now, maybe worth less. And she
Mhm.
did the math, and I said, so ma'am, and her house lost like over 6 figures in value. It was a pretty
Oh,
nice
wow.
house because, well, rates doubled, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I explained to her the same rate, and I said, ma'am, to get that same $2,000 mortgage, like payment, this is how much your home would have to be valued at today at today's rates if you want to sell it on the regular market. And she
Mhm.
was just dumbfounded by how this math worked. So hopefully that
Dumbfounded in
explained that to
like
you.
she couldn't understand it,
No,
or
no, she
dumbfounded in like,
understood
oh,
it.
this really sucks.
Yeah,
Dumbfounded as wish she sold earlier.
yeah, right. Like, your house will never be worth as much as it was yesterday, and that's
Yeah.
just a fact
Mhm.
now. And she was dumbfounded in the fact of how the markets of pricing actually work, the fundamentals of pricing actually work. Most people don't actually know these things, man. They have no idea. No one teaches them. It's not like a realtor goes in to educate.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
was a realtor, people didn't want me to educate them. I never walked in. There's not one listing I got where I walked in with a comp packet or a manual. I never did that. I know a lot of realtors walk in with presentations. I was the presentation. I acted knowledgeable. I lost some, but I would get the majority of my listing appointments based on my knowledge and my experience.
Yeah.
But I don't go in trying to say, let me explain this to you. I go, here are the facts. This is why you're hiring me. This is what I'll do for you. And they're like, okay, I want someone to handle all this. You hire a realtor to handle that, not to teach you. Some people are different, and this lady wanted to be taught. And she was asking me very pointed questions.
Yeah. Could she have gone through a realtor? Like, is the house in good enough condition? And
Yeah,
she could
I
put it
mean,
on the MLS?
I was trying to get my first novation, and I was trying to get.
I was
Mm.
just about to ask that.
I was looking at it as a novation. If I could get it low enough, yeah, of course I was anchoring on a cash sale. That's how you get novations. You anchor on the cash and you go up to your different things. But she just wasn't ready. She needs a postdoc too, so novation was out of the question. So I was trying to delay the closing, and that's where I was trying to tell her, like, man, my offer
And
is
more you
this low.
delay, that goes lower and lower.
Yeah, I was like, man, if you're not moving out till February, I need to predict what pricing is. Well, my realtor said it's worth this much. And so then I explained I didn't write that realtors are also pieces of shit. But why realtors are pieces of shit? Because it's the thing is, it's not their money. They're not telling you what somebody will pay.
Right.
Realtors tell you what they will list it at. And then 30 days later, they come back hat in hand going,
Listen.
We haven't gotten the activity I was hoping for. We need a price reduction. And there's no accountability for that. I got beat out by another guy. His name's I'm not going to say his name, but his name also starts with Brandin. There was another Brandin in my town who would always wildly overprice it just to get the listing. And so I was always battling him, and I refused to go up in my price. And I remember winning one of them back. Most of them don't. They just continue to allow him to do
Go
price
down and
reductions.
down. Yeah.
But one of them actually fired him and then called me because he wanted a reduction to the price that I had told the guy. And it was probably the most satisfaction that I had ever gotten. And this was obviously, I am not a realtor. I am licensed, but this was before the great craziness. This was like 2015, 14. This was a different time when houses sat on the market for like 90 days and it was a buyer's market. Yeah.
Like they are now.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
It was a different thing. But I think that, so what it comes down to is it's more important that you price. You price things accurately. And that's what I wanted to talk about.
Do you think that we're going to go through at a period of, we've talked about this before, I think, where like some wholesalers in an up market were coming in with crazy offers, narrowly getting like a tiny bit of money off of that, but able to do it at volume because people were just willing to sell.
Yeah.
Are we going to go through a period of time where those people are still involved in talking to sellers and giving just the worst prices ever? And it's going to take a while for
people are going to operate on thin margins.
Yeah. But eventually, I mean, if it continues to decline, those people should be weeded out. I mean, we've seen that historically. But yeah, I was thinking about, I was like, man, how long is it going to take for these people to disappear enough where the people that are making sensible offers,
it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while because it depends on how much cash they have. I forget. I can't. I'm gonna fuck his name up. I did not come up with this, but he had said his name starts. It's Gino something. I follow him on Instagram, and he was saying how in his mastermind somebody was saying only the great operators will survive because great operators are able to survive on a limited what do you call it, like a bare necessity type of income as things get worse, whereas bad operators will be weeded out. But as an example, so for me, I was trying to get a deal the other week, and I got beat out. I could have paid, I don't know, 250, 250 for this home. Probably sell this thing at 275, 260. I could have paid 240, 250 all day long, but I anchored this lady at 160. And so then I did in this market, I have this pitch that I do where I anchor deep and then I go into the advisor role and I go, hey, I totally understand, but let me just tell you how these numbers happen. Yeah. I understand this doesn't work. I know my back office gave it, but let me just explain their reasoning of why it is. And I go through everything and they start to really, because they're reading the news, they're hearing the news, they're seeing all these things happen. So I explained to them about rates. They've heard about rates. I explained to them about how people aren't buying as much anymore. They're on the sidelines. And I say, I'm selling this in the future. The same stuff I said earlier. So then she gave me her bottom line, right? She started at 300 with our cold callers, then said she wanted 250. And so really I could have paid a little less and made it work. But like I was skeptical on my ARV and I wanted to anchor it and I wanted a big commission. So she had then come to me and after this, I built great rapport. We were on the phone for like 20, 30 some minutes. And she goes, Brandon, I'm just going to be upfront with you. I need $200,000. And she goes, me and my sister own it. We each want to walk away with $100,000. That's it. Okay. Now here's where stupid Brandon happened. Instead of just taking it and running, I try to continue to negotiate. So I'm over here going, listen, I can go back to them and I can try to get more. I'm sure I could come up. I never let a couple $1,000s come between a deal. But you're saying like $40,000 and I mean, listen, like, could you talk to your sister and maybe we could find it? Anyway, we're trying to get up to like 180, 190. I just wanted something. I wanted more. I wanted more. I don't know. No, someone says no way. Hopefully this is not the lady that I was negotiating. So she was going to talk to her sister and it was right before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So right before Thanksgiving. And I had her, man. She loved me. She was going to talk to her sister, see if they could come down a little. Because, again, 180 between the two of them is only 90 and 90. That's only 10K less from 100 that they wanted. And I knew I could go up to 100. Anyway, long story short, I get back on the phone with her. We're talking. I need to call her back. A wholesaler got on the phone and swiped it at 240.
Oh, my God.
And again, and she said to me, and so this is it. She goes, Brandon, if you want to pay more than 240, it's yours. I said no. I don't know why I did it. It was my thing because I was trying to figure out how, other than swallowing my pride, I was coming up from 160 to 240 and telling her that I'm not
I'm in a declining market.
Yeah, that I'm not a scam artist. So I go through, I have a scorched earth method where it's like, and a lot of investors do. Steve Trang talks about it all the time. Pace Morby talks about it. Alex Casada talks about it. I go through my scorched earth. You need to watch out for this, and this. Too greedy, exactly. But not. I would argue with you, Be Better Tomorrow. I'm not greedy. That other wholesaler is greedy. He is bad at negotiating. Anybody who locked it up because she was at 250, you didn't try hard enough. Because I had her down at 200, and I was talking with Anthony Casada about this yesterday. You're not negotiating good enough. And in this market, you need to anchor properly. It's not hard to get the lady from 250 to 240. I could have done that. I was doing my job of getting a good deal, anchoring properly, negotiating her to her bare minimum. If you are not making insulting offers, you're not doing your job. So yeah, maybe I was greedy, but I was also doing what I was born and bred to do, which is get good fucking deals. One, I'm also not 100% certain that it was that number would have worked for me. I might have had to renegotiate because it was a total piece of shit. But at the same time, listen, man, like we have a rule in our office, and I was talking to Anthony about it too. If they have to renegotiate, That means their salespeople didn't do a good job, because if my TC or whoever can get them down another 20, 30K, that means my sales guy didn't negotiate. So Be Better Tomorrow, I know for a fact whoever took that deal down is a shitty negotiator, because if they would have tried, they could have locked her up at 200 while I was fucking around at 180. And they would have stolen it and made an extra 40K potentially. So that's my lesson. Go ahead.
It goes back to what I was just talking about with these wholesalers that are coming in. And I mean, different perspectives, whatever. Some person who's like, whatever, you have a business and employees, and it's like you're going out there. It's not like, hey, let me get $3,000 on my part-time side gig that I do from 6 to 7 p.m. every night.
So they're going to operate on these thin margins. Maybe they'll sell. I mean, it's a great area. It's Castleberry. It'll fucking sell. If the ARV is what it is, it was hard because it was a bigger house. So there's not a lot of comps. And if anyone knows how to comp, you have an area max in certain areas. So like it was very iffy, because just because it's bigger doesn't mean you can always extrapolate that price per square foot out to that. So I was being very cautious. I knew I could sell it even at 200. I was doing my job, man. I was negotiating shit out of it. And if that motherfucker didn't call, I would have had it locked up. But somebody called. They didn't negotiate. They heard 250. They're like, can you do 240? I had already done all the work. So she's like, holy. I remember she was so excited on the phone. She was like, Brandon, they said 240,000. If you could pay more than that, I'll sell it to you. But I can't let this pass. Because nobody else had offered it to her. So yeah,
you can't blame that lady. You can't blame that lady. You can't blame that lady. Obviously.
No, I said, honestly, I'm not going to say her name, but I was like, ma'am, I was like, go get it. Go get it. And I'll follow up with you if anything. I said, but do me a favor, Scorched Earth, looking for this and this. And I said, before they make you sign anything else, if they try to renegotiate you anything, make me a promise that, like you called me right now, because she promised she would if she had any other offers. That's good rapport. Okay.
Yeah.
She called me back as a promise to let me know she got another offer. And I said, just like you did now, you call me before you sign anything, and we'll talk about it just to make sure you're getting taken care of. And she said she would. So if they try to renegotiate, but I have it in my InvestorFuse CRM with a follow-up to make sure I follow up with her before their scheduled close date to make sure everything's going okay with her. But it's just, I guess going back is like when we talk about valuing, you need to be anchoring. If you're not getting hung up on some of your offers, you're not anchoring good enough. The goal is to anchor so low you insult them, but don't get hung up on.
Yeah. Make that your goal, everybody. Don't get hung up on. I just saw that quote from Eric, or like that line from Eric. He's like, the thing I love about remote like phone sales for real estate is if they're not hanging up on you, then they're still interested. Yeah.
He said that, and hilarious because it's so true, man. But nobody thinks like that. So one of my things, just when I make an insulting offer, I back it up with like the aw shucks, like, hey, like I understand, but just let me explain this. And they always do. Just give me 2 more minutes of your time. Let me just explain, because they want to understand. Yeah. And they were still on the phone, so she was interested.
Yeah.
But if you operate at these margins where you're just trying to get your 10K spreads, and in a declining market, you're going to have a lot of times where it's going to really bite you, especially as your cost to acquire a deal is probably going to start to go up a lot more than it was, because it's going to be a harder and harder because sellers are sitting on the sideline. You need to go through more data.
Well, let's tie this into the buyers then. So if you'd gotten that at 200 and you talk to a buyer and they're like, man, I don't believe your ARV, you have room to wiggle. Whereas somebody who locked it up at 240 and the buyer's like, that's not right, there's no room there for you. Like, you just lost the deal. So talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing with buyers, because you mentioned that earlier in the show. Like,
let's talk about how you pitch that to a seller first. If you're training your sales team properly, you need to, so when I come up, you have to get something in order to come up. That's why I didn't know what I was going to get to come up to 240, right? I just didn't know how I was getting 80K worth of value. But one of the things is you can get stuff when you give up. And so one of the things I do is if I'm coming up to their number, even though it works for me, I always kind of lay groundwork that lets them know that I'm doing them this favor. Hey, listen, I don't necessarily believe, I get it. And listen, maybe it's like I could get my back office to approve this. I'm sure I can. But, if there's any problems with the way the house is, then that might not work. Are you going to be okay with that? And I use a wild example. If we get into that and the foundation is wrecked and the house is falling down the hill, I'm not going to be able to pay that amount. I know at 160 or 180, I could do no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And then because it's a wild example, they go, oh, that's not going to happen. Don't worry. I'm okay with it if that happens. Now I've already gotten their commitment that in the future, if I walk in there and I need to renegotiate, they already are expecting it. So when I say, hey, remember when we talked about if that house wasn't exactly the way that it was expected to be? That's, we got our bids back and it wasn't. And here's the situation we're at now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't ever sound too eager and like, oh, yeah, 200, I could do it. Because now I'm committing to them that I'm okay no matter what at that price because I'm buying it as is.
Yeah.
So I always kind of lay a little
smart.
groundwork there.
I feel like I need to rewind this and listen to that 2 more times to fully absorb that.
But for buyers, one of the best things I heard was from Anthony Casado when I was talking to him last night because we were just sharing war stories on like dispoing and stuff. And he said he stopped telling his acquisition team what to offer, and now he tells them what he can sell it at. So he doesn't say,
one more time. Say that again.
He doesn't tell his team what to offer. He tells them what they can sell it at. So he tells them, because his dispo is so good over there at Quick Cash Offer, that he's like, I can sell this deal at $215. Go for it. So now they know they have a $15K, $10K, $20K minimum, whatever it is. They should be anchoring. Be Better Tomorrow. You should be anchoring down at 170, 160. How big of a commission do you want to make?
Right. So it puts it in the hands of the act guy. That's cool.
It puts it in the hands of the act guy, and they know where their dispo is. Instead of saying, hey, what can I offer on this? Well, ARV is $400K, and here's your MAO.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that do for somebody? Because now they might try to stretch, and if you cap it at MAO, and maybe the guy wants to sell it at 1,000 or 2,000 more, it doesn't necessarily work all the time where the acquisition guy may not be able to take it down. But by telling them what you can sell it at, you're now setting that expectation of your exit up front. And now your acquisition people are aware of what you're exiting it at. And they may, I know our minimum's 15, but he said we could sell it at 215. This guy won't budge past 210. I've tried. Take it down. We're not going to turn our nose down to 5K. Mm-hmm. But again, the key is you have to
have a killer dispo team.
Well, you have to try to negotiate. Otherwise, if you give your team the easy out, they will always just say yes to getting a contract signed.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's an interesting strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But as to the buyers, man, Carlos, you said earlier in the show, Carlos, like you're hearing a lot of people too that they're adjusting their numbers. Is that right?
I don't know how much adjusting their numbers. What I'm hearing is kind of what you're saying towards the beginning of the episode. Same thing with like 2020, the beginning of COVID. Like the people that are kind of doubling down and still buying are going to look back 6 months in the future and be like, I'm happy that we didn't kind of take off the throttle. But I think that's probably the most applicable thing that people that are listening to this is just like deeper, dropping the anchor a little bit deeper, being consistent with that, have tough skin, have thick skin or whatever when you're negotiating with sellers. Because it is a changing market. And it's like some of these sellers that you talk to, you may have already given an offer to that's like 6-12 months ago. That's too high right now. So even if you're following up with a lead that you gave an offer to 6 months ago, that might even be too high or not deep enough of a discount where you want to buy it from. But yeah, 100%. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like the most applicable thing that I'm hearing just on podcasts or just talking to investors in general is like just really working on educating sellers of globally what's going on, United States economy, what's going on, housing market, what's going on, and working with them. And I like that tactic in general in sales and just human relationships in general, kind of a more abundant mindset, just transparently laying out on the table what their options are, where you can help, saying that you can give them another resource to help them with if you want, instead of just a cash offer innovation. One thing I was going to ask you is like, and part of this is rhetorical because I know that you got the Novation course going, but I'm wondering how applicable or how well novations are going to work in 2023 100%. With these sellers that don't need a lot of work. Like I feel like it's something that could be good for a lot of wholesalers.
For sure. It's definitely a different thing. So I think we go back and to answer AJ asked me who Gino was in the comments, and it's Gino Palomba. I just looked it up. I don't know if I'm pronunciating it right. Palomba, Palomba. What he said about only being the best operators. Novations is not something a fly-by-night wholesaling organization could do. There is, and I have a phenomenal TC who also happens to be my wife. I'm not just saying that.
Kudos.
But, kudos to her. You have to have a phenomenal TC process. You have to have phenomenal communication skills. You have to have great connections with realtors.
Yeah.
You have to be intelligent about real estate and how all of the title process works. Somebody growing up as a realtor, it becomes very easy because that's what we have to do as realtors. And it's almost like, you're basically being a realtor without, and you're hiring realtors, you're working with them, you're helping the realtor community in a way. So I would say it's going to be very good. I don't know if any wholesaler will be able to do it. One, it's pricey to get in. Eric's course is well worth it though.
Yeah.
And I think there's always a time. That's the thing, man, is even in the recession when we were flipping homes back in the day in 2010, 11, and 12, there's still buyers buying on the MLS, right? Like there's always going to be mom and dads looking to move, relocating. There's always people sizing up, downsizing. There's always going to be those people. So novations on the MLS is going to be a great way to sell deals.
Yeah.
But I'm not having problems also selling deals to my flippers either, because now rental people are a little different, because a lot of these landlords don't want to let go. I let go of one of my rentals today and I sold it for a song for specific reasons. But not a lot of landlords want to let go of their properties, but flippers, 70 cents they want to go back to 70 cents ARV minus repairs. And I was talking with Alex and them, and they were saying that they are also adjusting 10% off of the ARV for a future decline.
That's smart. I mean, that goes back to, we were talking about weeding out those people making the wrong offers. I think buyers are going to be a big part of that. Ultimately, they're the ones that sell the properties to, right? But like, if you aren't getting them the anchoring right, and then predicting for the declining market, and you keep sending these deals to buyers, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, screw you. I'm only going to listen to Brandon because like he's actually looking ahead, looking out for my interests, looking out for the relationship that we have, and making sure that I'm getting into properties that will still work for me in this market.
Right. It's crazy out there. And it's like, you have to plan. I mean, rates just went up again. You don't know where things are going to go down at. You're pricing it based on what you're hoping yesterday's sales are still going to be. But I don't blame any investor for doing that. I mean, I thought we should have been buying at 70 cents all along. Here's the problem. It's discipline. A lot of these wholesalers out here, like the guy who beat me out, could have got it cheaper, but instead they're going to be still telling sellers their houses are worth this much because they don't know how to comp properly. They don't have the right tools to do it. Or they're just trying to make thin margins, so it doesn't matter. Or they just haven't updated their buyers listing up. Maybe you got to go back and recall all your buyers and figure out which one of your buyers and what their new formula is. Everyone's going to have one. Are they doing hard money or not? Are they actually cash? Hard money changes stuff for them because they have a lot of fees they have to go into it. And I don't know if any hard money fees have changed or not, but these things all need to be accounted for when you're dispoing deals.
Yep.
I was going to ask Papa P, you mentioned you sold a rental of yours earlier in the show. Is there any reason that you decided to do now, like get more liquid for a particular reason? Or
it's not about getting liquid. One, I need the money. Two, I'm just getting out of rentals. I just need the money. I got other shit. We got REI Op Center. I'm trying to buy another mobile home park. And it's funny. It's like I sold it for convenience. And I sold it cheap. I sold it at like 40 cents on the dollar. I probably could have made even more money if I booted this tenant out, if I went through that process of booting him out, cleaning up the property. If you saw it on my Instagram at Mr. Realovative, he's got a guy living in the shed. Hey, anybody out there is looking for an Airbnb multifamily property, I have one. I know you Airbnbers will look for anything to tack value onto. So here's one. God. He's Airbnb. I didn't even know he's Airbnb-ing out the fucking shed to his deaf buddy, who was asking me for coffee. He asked me if I wanted coffee multiple times. I forgot he was deaf, and I kept saying no, but he wasn't hearing me. So he was following me through the property, asking me if I wanted a cup of coffee because it was early in the morning. And I just like, no, dude, I don't want fucking coffee. But he was living in the shed. But But I did it for convenience, Carlos, because I wanted the money. I have
Mhm.
other things. And as we're buying mobile home parks, I've already sold, if you follow me, you know, I've already sold most of my shit pre-COVID, which, whatever. Held on to that for an extra year. But I sold a lot of my my duplexes, my quads, my half duplexes, my single family homes. I offloaded a whole bunch of them. And I have a few more that I was like, oh shit, I got this one. I told John I forgot I even had it.
Yeah, I was like,
like,
how
oh
do you
fuck
forget you
yeah.
own a property?
I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that one. And me and my wife talked. It's a mobile home that's in Winter Haven, and I'm in Lakeland. And I don't want to have to go to it. I haven't been to it in 3 years. I haven't done any work to it. The guy is great. I only collect $400 a month off of it, and people are like, "That's way under rent." Yeah, but you know what? Like, the guy doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
He drops off his check for 3 years. I've owned this property, 3.5 years. Drops it off every month. I haven't had to renovate the property. I haven't done it. He's replacing the cabinets right now. We were in there. He's like, I'm putting these cabinets in. I'm getting new countertops. He's like, I'm putting all this in. I mean, it's a piece of shit, but to him, it's his home.
Yeah.
So I found a buyer in my buyer's list, a buddy of mine, and I call him a buddy, but I've been selling to him for like 8 years. And I was like, hey man, I got a property right up your fucking alley. It's like, it's got somebody in there because I know because he's slow to do stuff. He likes to collect things. I was like, I got one that he pays you every month religiously. You don't have to worry about repairs. He just wants to live there. And then when you're ready to like fix it up and rehab it in a year or two, just boot him out, bro. But in the meantime, you don't have to. And it was everything he dreamed of because he doesn't want to have to worry about a vacant property over the 1 year. Because he's got so many. He's a do-it-yourselfer. Like he owns hundreds and hundreds of properties, but he likes to do everything himself. So it takes him a while. He just keeps collecting.
He's a hoarder of property.
He is. He's a hoarder of land and mobile homes. So I met him out there today. And he loved it, and I got on the phone. He haggled the shit out of me because he's a haggler. He's an old dude who loves to haggle, and I ended up selling it. I got to send the contract over to him, but it's important about having those relationships. So Carlos, I sold it for the money. I sold it because we didn't need it because we're going to buy mobile. So he asked me, why are you selling it, Brandin? He goes, you just looking for a new fool to take this over? And I said, no, man. I was like, be honest, I bought a mobile home park. We're selling off all the other stuff, and this just isn't in our category anymore. I'm done with single families. I'm done driving everywhere. I'm done having to collect individual rents. And he goes, tell me more about the park. And so by the end of it, he goes, listen, he loves mobile home parks. He owns a couple himself. He said, if you ever need an investor or you need private money for it, he's like, hit me up. Nice. I am serious. I want a mobile home park. By the end of it, not only have I sold my rental to a buyer on my buyer's list that I keep very good rapport with, he helped me buy my truck. I mean, phenomenal. He even gave me a card because my truck's broken down right now, my 2-year-old truck.
What?
Yeah, fucking Dodges, dude. Anyway, now by the end of it, he's ready to fund my next park if I could get like seller financing on another one. I mean, he was flabbergasted at that deal I got, and he's like, you tell me more. I was like, but bud, it's not even in Florida. It's in Arkansas. He's like, I'm looking at parts up in Louisiana right now, Brandon. He's like, I got partners up there. He's like, if you want a partner, you just need money. You let me know. I'm serious. I'm like, I'm trying to buy 2 next year, man. He's like, let me know.
That's awesome.
So building those relationships with the buyers, if you can't do deals with your own buyers, if you can't shoot the shit and have them help you when you need something, Tyler said on the last podcast,
Tyler bail him out.
He said he's got like a core group of buyers that would bail him out of jail if he needed. And if you don't have buyers like that, I would say you don't really have good buyers, man. Your relationship building isn't that good. I do flips with my other buyers. I've done flips with them. I buy rentals. I mean, like, come on, man. I just think that's the way to do it. So yeah. So we're selling it.
Love it.
Very, very interesting. All right,
well, guys, I'm the only one, man. I don't think I'm sorry. I don't think I'm the only one offloading some properties.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, like, there's reasons why, but I mean, I love the idea that you're approaching 2023 of like, I want this one category. As an investor, I've definitely heard of this. And I've even seen it with some of like the big guys out there. Like a deal comes across their plate, they can't almost resist, right? Even if it's a car or a boat or a property or land, they're like, oh man, this is a great deal, and I'm an investor, and like I see the worth. But you're like, mobile home parks. that's my path forward 10, 20,
Mobile
30
home
years.
parks, RV parks, yeah, man. It's more scalable. King of Miami real estate just offloaded. That's my life. Yeah, he did. And you got to step into bigger things. I just have nothing else to say other than the fact that like it is scalable. I guess I know people who have like 200 single family rentals. That's not appealing to me at all.
It just sounds like gives me a headache thinking about how you would manage that.
I want parks, baby. I flew up to Arkansas, had 36 units. I could see them all in a day. I didn't need to drive. Yeah, I had to fly to Arkansas, but like once I was there, I saw them all. And I'm willing to buy in Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, and Florida. Any of these southern, like southwest states. Creative Finance, you hit me up. And I have other private money people, but apparently I found a new one today, and I would have never probably done that if I didn't try to sell this, if I didn't think of who was the right buyer for this. I didn't send out an email blast.
Right. You called one guy.
Yeah. I called one guy that I thought of, and I was like, who would this be?
And he picked up the phone, and he met you out there. Like,
if it would have been vacant, I would have called somebody else. I would have not have called this guy.
Yeah.
But I knew that I didn't want to kick Philip out because he's just, he's been through some shit, man. Bro.
He's Airbnb out of the shed.
He's Airbnb out of the fucking shed. And he had that one door locked in there. We don't know what's inside that one door.
I haven't watched your thread yet.
Strapped in there, you haven't seen it. And he goes, so my buddy, the buyer was like, hey, what's in here? And he goes, oh, that's just a bedroom. He's like, can we get in it? And he's like, stupid me. I put a lock on it and I lost the key. And I'm like, really? You lost the fucking key and you've just never thought about trying to get into this. You've basically inside your house just gone, fuck it, this room is fucking black hole now. For the rest of my life, we're never going to go in there. I find that not to be true. Something's happening in that room. So he goes, he's probably like just making like meth or fentanyl in there. I was like, if that's true, I was like, bro, he'd probably have more money and only being able to pay $400. He doesn't look like he's got a lot of.
He wouldn't have to Airbnb out his shed if he was making that.
I don't think this is him, man. I was thinking maybe, and plus he has all of his teeth. So like, definitely, like he's got all of his teeth, bro. If you're in Florida and you see dudes missing their teeth, you just think immediately meth. Yeah, he has girlfriend, but he had his girlfriend. He had a new girlfriend inside his bedroom when we went in there. That was a little awkward. She's just sitting there watching TV. But you know, I don't know. Growing pot, maybe. He looks like he could be a pothead. Like maybe he's got a couple plants in there. I don't really.
A little hydroponic farm inside a bedroom of a trailer.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Didn't stop the deal being done.
I cannot call Miss Haida Lee. I cannot call 911. Here's why. If he gets arrested, I stop collecting rent. And then the deal becomes less appealing for my new buyer because he's buying it because it's got cash flow and he's okay with it. So do not call 911 on your tenants. Actually, legally, you should check with your lawyer on who you should call 911. I don't want to get in trouble for telling somebody not to call 911. But I'm not calling 911, bro. You give me my money, what you do in there, okay? I don't give a shit. Wait for 911 to show up. Yeah, wait for the neighbors to call and then be like, oh shit.
Oh man! All right, what a phenomenal topic. Let's jump into some pulse week.
Snitches. Snitches get stitches. By the way, I don't want to be in stitches, bro. I'm not snitching. Mama didn't raise no snitch.
That's right. All right. There are lots of things that happened this past week. We can talk real quick about the Fed Consumer Price Index. Real estate sales hit the news this morning. That was really interesting. This cannot be legal advice. That's correct. The show is not legal advice.
It is humor advice. Humor.
All right. So the Fed raised, what is it, 0.5? Half a point?
Yeah, half a point. They came down a little bit.
And then they said that they're going to do up to 75 potentially in 2023, forever, how long. It was interesting. I was watching because I get this daily email and it always has stuff about the stocks. And so like a day before the Fed meeting, stocks went up, expecting like the Fed meeting to be great. And then the Fed meeting happened and now they're just like going down.
It's called buy the rumor, sell the news.
Yeah, exactly. And then the what is it? The retail sales came out this morning, which was interesting. That it decreased even with Black Friday. Sales are down. Like people are spending less, and then people are like, it's a recession. Yeah, right. Like, well, of course they are. They can't. Their money goes less now.
Who's got money nowadays?
Yeah, seriously.
Like Jesus, man. Like things are expensive, dude. I just saw Biden get up and we watched through because I keep CNBC on, and Biden got up after that data came out, and he's like, America's never been doing better. I've decreased employment. Well, no shit, you decreased unemployment because back when you took over, nobody was working because we were giving out free fucking money.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a big win, bro. And it's like, I don't see how we're not going to wind up spending less over Christmas. I wasn't surprised by any of this because I feel like it's what's expected to happen. Groceries went up again. Yeah. I mean, like everything.
It's slowing down though, right? I didn't dig too deep, but it looked like it was slowing down a little bit or a lot from where it was.
Dog food definitely went up. I'm spending a shit ton of money on this expensive.
I got 3 of them.
About to sell my dog. I'm going to sell my dog like I'm selling my rental properties. I'm like MC Hammer over here just selling all fucking assets. Just because of inflation. Like, damn, dude, I need to make more money. Mm-hmm. But just for the normal people that maybe aren't in real estate or don't have a business or aren't, crushing it or whatever, like the normal people just working 9 to 5. I mean, credit card spending has gone up too. I read, like, we went over that in the summer. We should really do another episode going through credit card spending and debt.
And savings,
and savings.
Down.
The savings rates have gone way down for the consumers as people are using more and more of their money to pay for these overages that they weren't expecting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's interesting, man. like consumer behavior, people behavior. It's like people are like trying to hold on to their dream, and I'm just like, can we just stop? Let's get through the hard part and get back to normality. Prices come down when people stop buying.
It's going to be a while. It's going to be, over the next year, things are going to come out. I mean, I remember back in 2010, it was like this. Like you didn't know where the bottom was. I was buying property not because I thought we were at a bottom. I was new and I was learning from somebody and I was just replicating what they were doing. But we were buying property because the idea was to buy it. You weren't decking the motherfucker out. You were quick turning the thing, putting it back on the market, making a quick 10, 15 or 10, 15%, whatever it was, in and out, under 30 days, boom, boom, boom. And we weren't trying to time the bottom of things. And even though people didn't have jobs, they didn't have things, a lot of things changed for us. Because people didn't have jobs, so we got labor cheaper.
Yeah.
More availability of labor. Material pricing was declining. I've already been getting calls from contractors that were too busy to work with me. Are now two of them have already reached out to me. And one, it's sad that they're not finding work, but at the same time, I'm like, the tables have turned. Tables have turned. And if anybody's thinking of how to turn properties quicker, another thing you could do too, if you're small time and you have the ability to get funding and you gotta have a good relationship with a contractor, is you could split the profits with your contractor. I promise you, if you have a good relationship with a contractor you've known 5, 6 years, whatever, and things are a little rough for them trying to find work and make money, and you want cheap pricing and it done quick without them dragging you out so your money costs are cheaper and your risk is lower, bro, just offer them a percentage. You get the money, you get the financing, get your rehab finance. Boom, he does it at cost. You'll never see a contractor work as fast as if he knows. Yeah, if he knows. I got a contractor I'll do that with. But yeah, I did that in the past with him before. And then markets got good. He got busier with other stuff and we just didn't do it. And I was thinking about it again the other week. I was like, man, when I start flipping again, like, because I'm not buying any properties to flip, but I was like, I'm going to do that again. That'll ensure that my properties will get out super fast and not get dragged on for them taking other jobs. Yeah. Which was happening to me during COVID. I was getting dragged on because they were taking on a bunch of jobs.
Interesting stuff. All right, what else is going pulse of the week?
What about Elon Musk?
Oh, man.
Carlos, your boy. Your boy is just getting beat up, Carlos.
I haven't caught a lot of stuff this week. Was it last week we were talking? I can't remember if we were in our pre-show meeting. But yeah, he's just kind of exposing some stuff on Twitter. It sounds like it looks like I can't remember if that was last week or
getting
the
stopped
week before.
Did he spend $44 million just to read somebody's diary? Is that really what it is?
Right. Yeah, the amount of shit he's uncovering and just like throwing out there is really interesting.
Yeah, he's just throwing some random stuff up there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out.
He's got pronouns now.
He does have pronouns. He did announce pronouns. I just don't know how much of it. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know how much of it is like politically motivated versus like potentially better for his businesses or what it is. But yeah, I didn't look into it. We got some comments coming in.
He banned a mass journalist from I don't know about that. I thought I know, right? It's interesting when somebody owns something that they can do whatever the hell they want. I thought it was intriguing. I watched some stuff and heard some stuff that he's no longer the richest man in the world because Tesla has decreased in value so much, and people went and related like how likely they're to purchase a Tesla based off of how much they like Elon Musk. And it's like in the liberal group, which are the ones that most likely are to buy an electric vehicle, Tesla, like their likelihood to buy Tesla is just like dropping because of Elon.
Toyota's going to do great because all those motherfuckers are moving over.
I know that's the interesting thing is because now there's so many other electric cars.
Like, I need a Prius or I need a Chevy Volt. I'd love to see some of these motherfuckers driving around in Chevy Volts.
I know. I mean, it's intriguing because in the board for Tesla, isn't that one of their arguments with taking him to court about how much he got paid? Is that
that's not the board?
Like what?
That is a shareholder.
Okay.
A large shareholder is taking him to court because what happens if all that gets reversed? Guess who it goes to? It goes to the shareholders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it increases the value if he has to return all that. Fuck that man, he 10x that company and he got paid $50-some billion to do it. I run a very small organization and I make good money. If I had to run that company, I'd better be making billions of dollars for the amount of stress. They're trying to take my man down. All my man's doing, everything he touches, he turns to gold. He's like the modern day Midas. And all anybody does is predict his demise. Mm-hmm. That's it. They just want him to fail. I don't know the guy personally.
He's willing to work harder than anybody on the planet.
And
which is
everyone complains about it.
I know. It's like, give the guy a break, dude. He's going to fucking make it work. That's what he does. That's what he's done for 30 years is make shit work.
Make shit work. So a lot of times you're not investing. It's like private money, right? Private money, a lot of times for real estate, they're not investing in the real estate as much as they're investing in the jockey. It's like you bet on the jockey, not the horse, right? They're betting on you and your personality, your ethics, your morals, your work ethic. Same thing with Elon Musk, man. Like, I mean, show me a company that he hasn't done wonderful things with.
Yep.
And who knows? Yeah. I'm still hoping he brings back Vine.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that. Let's put an end to TikTok. Do you see more and more of this shit about TikTok in the news?
Rubio's trying to get it banned, isn't he?
It should be banned. Well, so in the user agreements that we all have on our phone, so if you accept their user agreements, it's not just to listen and attach to your phone. It's any in a radius. So, yeah, it's connecting to all the phones around you. So if you let your kids have it, their phone, and your phones are all on the same Wi-Fi, it's connected. And not only that, they don't even give the same version. They don't get – John's trying to figure it out in his head right now. He's like, how does that work?
No, I am like that. I mean – so it's devices too, though. Like, I mean, there's a difference between Apple and Android devices. Apple devices are so freaking locked down. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. I haven't heard that before.
You know what? Look into it. I haven't researched it fully. Right. These are like one article updates. I did not read multiple articles. However, on my computer, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 articles of my research on why realtors are lazy. Statistical facts.
Doing your research.
But I have not researched about the TikTok thing. They don't allow the same TikTok, they don't allow the same TikTok in their country for underage kids as they allow in America for our kids.
Oh, well, that's the Chinese government putting restrictions on companies. I don't know if that's necessarily TikTok headquarters saying, I don't want to give this to 12-year-olds.
The same in-depth, hard-hitting journalism for realtors. Listen, man, I will. You know what? You want us to dive deep into TikTok, John? We need to dive deep into this TikTok and figure out what this is and what this means.
I can go do some research. I enjoy a good tech research. I'll get it.
We're gonna
I am
let
not
John
personally
handle
on
this one.
TikTok, and my kids don't have phones, and
I
by God,
am.
they won't. So
I am on TikTok. It is something, as I'm trying to build my brand in 2023, I have on my phone, and I honestly debated deleting it and letting my social media person just have it on their phone and post for me and let them get tracked and hunted.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, it's about ads. That's how they make revenue. I mean, I know. I'll dig into it. We'll dig into it.
Is it about ads?
Yes.
Or could it be
Everything is about fucking money. Why would they? That is the only reason these social networks exist, is for eyeballs.
I know. I started getting commercials on Amazon, and I'm pissed off about it.
Oh, yeah. They have some stuff that's supported by ads now on Amazon. Yeah.
So we have an episode next week for Christmas. I would really love to touch base on some Christmas stuff.
We did.
Hopefully you guys are watching Christmas movies. I love me some Christmas movies.
Not really.
I love when a girl goes back to her hometown and falls in love with some dude that's a hard-hitting businessman or something. You know what I mean? It's like,
I love Christmas movies.
I love it. They're all the same storyline, man.
Yeah.
Someone's going to a small town, reconnecting with a love of the past, and they fall in love all over again. Or it's a rich guy coming into a town trying to buy something, falling in love with the small store owner, and realizing the spirit of Christmas.
I feel like
not
you have
to
the
make
Hallmark
money.
channel on a lot right now.
I did. That's every Hallmark movie. It is. It's all the same. We started in my house, like we leave this one channel on that has all Christmas, and we start predicting. Nope.
The end.
Someone's getting sent from a journalist. Yep, this is a newspaper. A journalist is getting sent to this town for a bed and breakfast review that's getting shut down by a big company.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna start getting into that next week, and probably a little bit even after Christmas, because we've had our kids have had after school stuff every day, every day of the week, but they all finished that this week, so next week.
So
Christmas
next week we'll do a little Christmas stuff.
Yeah,
maybe we could bring to you some TikTok updates, and we'll find out when I'm allowed to talk about realtors and anger an entire group of
I think we should find somebody to get on that might have some opposing view.
I know. I already know who it is, so we'll tap him again.
Yeah. But do me this favor. Ask him if he generally believes the phrase realtors are lazy.
No.
If I know who Carlos is talking about, I think he would align to that. I think he's more like, I have the solution to the problem.
Yeah, 100%. I agree too. I agree that, and there's hardworking agents out there, but I think that if you go up and say, "Man, there are some dumb fucking realtors out there," he'd probably be like,
"I think so." All right, Carlos, tune in for Christmas next week. Yeah, realtors coming up. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, please do that. Follow us all on Instagram. You can find it at links. Let's talk realestate.tv. You can find them all. See y'all next week.
Awesome. See you guys.
Peace.